Welcome to another episode of What the Did They Just Say? Where we talk about what people without eating disorders do and say around people with eating disorders that they probably shouldn't. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think people intentionally do things to hurt or upset people with eating disorders. And I don't think the world should revolve around any one person with any one disease, addiction, disorder, or disability. However, there are just some easy little things that people could do and be educated about, tiny little things that would just prevent people from becoming triggered. I'm here to tell you what those little things are so we can all just be a little calmer. That's a win-win situation, right? In today's episode, we're going to talk about the dreaded single phrase, "You don't look like somebody who had an eating disorder." All right, this has happened to me more than once, and I don't like to admit it. And based on my experience talking with other people with eating disorders, it's happened to them more than once too. I don't think the people who are saying this comment really mean it the way that it comes out, or at least I hope so. However, I want to share how it's being interpreted by those with ED, so that maybe a small change in words could help us communicate a little bit better and send the proper message. Here's the scenario. You walk into a room in the office to get some coffee, and you see that friendly coworker that you've had a chat with sometimes, you've shared enough to have a conversation with, and you're excited about your recovery. So you might share some light details, your excitement about progress, and you mentioned that you went to treatment. You start to talk about the conversation, and she says back to you, "Treatment? From what?" And you say, "An eating disorder." But then, as soon as you say that, the coworker has that startled look on her face and her wide eyes and some jerking back motion, and then says, "You don't look like someone who has an eating disorder." Notice how the inflection goes up in total and utter disbelief. Now, what I'm sure the coworker meant to say, or at least I hope so, is, "But you look so healthy." And I'm sure that it was with the best of intentions. Until recently, there's been a stigma with eating disorders that only people of a certain shape and size and are very thin, wasting away on their deathbed, can have eating disorders. And if you don't fit that qualification, that you don't have an eating disorder and that you never did. But that's an absolute lie. Eating disorders come in all shapes and sizes. Let me repeat. Eating disorders come in all shapes and sizes. Eating disorders, people with current, active, deadly eating disorders, they come in all shapes and in all sizes. Doctors will make that mistake. Loved ones will make that mistake. Friends who are your biggest champions in life will make that mistake. And many people are left to these deadly diseases because of those mistakes and those assumptions. This is no one's fault. It is because of misinformation. So here's what the ED survivor hears when the coworker says that comment. "You're so fat that there's no way I can imagine that you were ever skinny enough to qualify to have an eating disorder." That's not what was said. I get that. However, the deadly disease and the voices that are in our head 24/7 are instantly reverted back the moment that you said that comment. The gloves are on. It doesn't matter how recovered we are or how armed we are in our battle. Comments like that just strip us of our layers of progress. Not forever, but just for a minute. And then we have to use some skills to get back on track. There's not blame here, no finger pointing. It's just a plea to the rest of the community to maybe give us a hand. Here's what might be said to help us along. "You look so happy today. You're absolutely glowing." Just don't focus on the body, that's all. That's really what you're noticing, that we're vital again, that we're full of life and you can't imagine us being sick, right? We're all human and we all have our thing. You have yours, and I can't wait to hear how I can make your life a little bit easier too. If you say the wrong thing or you do the wrong thing, I'm not going to blame you. That's my thing. That's my cross that I have to bear, and I have to figure out how to do this. I've got this. But you can just know there's a little bit of information and give it a second thought maybe. Spread the word even. Maybe we can make a whole bunch of lives just a little bit easier. Thank you so much for listening, and you have a great and beautiful day.